ES Audio.
From the Evening Standard in London, I'm Mark Blunden, and this is The Leader.
Her name is Anna Delvey, or Anna Sorokin, no one's sure. She's either a rich German heiress or she's flat broke.
We're all here because we believe in the mission.
What are we doing?
Changing the world.
I'm not really a big fan of Matt Hancock.
I think they just seem as sort of campy.
It's not all been strikes, delays and looming apocalypse in 2022. Nope, this year's also brought the shocking, the surreal and the slapstick. So collating our greatest pop culture moments of 2022 reminds us we saw in the new year amid Omicron and dodged a Christmas lockdown. But quite enough of that, because in the words of Gogglebox, this year we've enjoyed a lot of great pop culture moments. But before we kick off, what didn't make the top 10? There's just so much, but sadly no time for Louis Theroux's TikTok hit Jiggle Jiggle Rap.
My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. I like to see you wiggle wiggle.
Or surely at this time of year, Jingle Jingle. So what makes this Leader Specials top 10? Let's dive in, and these are in no particular order. We're joined by two expert commentators with their fingers on both London's and the internet's cultural pulses. First, we're joined by the Evening Standard's acting celebrity correspondent Tina Campbell as we wind the clocks back to March, and it's that slap after a very personal joke by host Chris Rock at the Oscars triggered the red mist to descend for Will Smith. Tina, what was the immediate fallout?
Not only did he slap him, he attacked him, he swore repeatedly, and this is something that's generally not aired, but because of the way that the Oscars is transmitted, it was something that got seen around the world and soon went viral.
Where's Will Smith at now?
He went to a retreat to apparently work on himself, and now he's back. He's got a new film. So far he's been snubbed, it seems, by the Golden Globes, and he has been banned from attending any Oscars ceremonies going forward for the next 10 years.
At number 2, we have Kim Kardashian's borrowed Marilyn Monroe dress, worth nearly $5 million. But what was the issue with the fitting?
Marilyn Monroe, when she bought this dress, she was actually had to be sewed into it. So, it was custom made for her. And Kim Kardashian, initially, she couldn't fit into it. So she actually later said that she lost 16 pounds over the course of 3 weeks, just so she could get into this dress because she really wanted to wear it.
And all this happened during Kardashian's Pete Davidson era.
He accompanied her to the Met Gala, while she was wearing that stunning dress. He got a bit of a glow up thanks to her. And sadly, it wasn't to be, as they went their separate ways in August after about 9 to 10 months of dating.
What do you think they're really doing out there?
I'm curious to hear where she's going with this.
Now it's time to talk about Don't Worry Darling, with its star Florence Pugh reportedly unhappy about her co-star carrying on set with director Olivia Wilde, which came to an awkward head at the premiere.
She had refused to do the press conference, Florence Pugh. Hadn't given a reason why, but everyone speculated it was because there'd been a fallout between her and Olivia. When it came to the actual premiere, she wouldn't be photographed directly next to Olivia. And apparently Harry Styles asked not to be stood next to Olivia either. So, the director, this is her big moment. It's only her second major motion picture.
How did all this leave our protagonists?
Well, the film did very well at the box office. So far, it remains to be seen, if it's going to get any awards. Florence Pugh certainly came out very well out of it. She's very cool at the moment. She's like the it actress. Harry Styles, he was in another film, My Policeman. His reviews weren't so great. But Olivia Wilde, I think she's done quite well, but her and Harry have now split.
In at number 4, it's Lovers Reunited, with the reboot of Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez.
I think initially everyone just thought, she must be recording a new music video. It's just for publicity. But they're married, they made it down the aisle. They seem more loved up than ever, if you see the photo. So hopefully, I think people want to believe in true love, and hopefully this is the proof that it exists.
And Tina, please could you furnish us with a bit of background?
I remember very well when this was originally a thing, Benefer, as we've called them then. They first met in 2001 when they were working together on the movie Jiggly, which was a universal flop. But still, love sparked, so it wasn't all lost. He proposed to her in November of 2002 with a 6.1 carat pink diamond ring. So he went all out. She, of course, said yes. But then in September 2003, they called off their wedding, saying the split was official. 2004 basically said that the media attention just got too much.
I have a question. What are you wearing? You look poor.
Next, Tina, it's Inventing Anna on Netflix, a soaraway streaming success. What was it all about?
She's a Russian-born German con artist and fraudster. She posed as a wealthy heiress in New York, and she somehow managed to just get herself in the right places at the right time. She dressed well, she had all the designer clothes, but she conned her way into thousands of dollars to live a very lavish lifestyle. And she wanted to make this members club. And she convinced all these people to put in lots of money. And in the end, she was charged with 10 counts of theft, larceny, attempted theft, and attempted larceny. And it inspired a very popular Netflix series.
What do you think the ingredients were that made Inventing Anna very compelling television, really gripped viewers?
Well, at the same kind of time, we also had the Tinder Swindler, which was a massive hit on Netflix. So there's a number of these shows, and it's just that they happen to be having a light shone on them at the same kind of time. But I think people are just fascinated. It's like true crime sort of things. People just really love to see that sort of thing. And also, it's when you have such a strong character, because Anna Delvey is such a strong character, as was the main character in the Tinder Swindler. You know, they just don't see that they've done anything wrong.
Let's go to the ads. Coming up, word games, dodgy texting, and a landmark album. Why not hit rate and follow in the meantime? Welcome back. Now let's continue this special episode in our odyssey of the top 10 pop culture moments of 2022. Now we're joined by Vicky Jessop, Evening Standard arts writer and commissioning editor. So at number 6, we've got Johnny Depp's multi-million-dollar defamation lawsuit against his ex-wife Amber Heard. Vicky, where does all this leave the former celebrity couple?
In her recent statement, she said that the US media favoured popularity and power over direct evidence. So, yeah, John Depp seems so like he was dropped from this big franchise he was part of, which was The Crimes of Grindelwald, this Fantastic Beasts Harry Potter franchise. But yeah, he seems to have had a very low-key comeback. During, he made headlines recently for, I think it was Zoom calling a young boy dressed as Captain Jack Sparrow. He's made a couple of appearances, like playing gigs. I think there was one even in London. So yeah, he seems to kind of be on the up, I guess, slowly rebuilding his career. Whereas Amber Heard, yeah, it does kind of feel a little bit like the trial destroyed her almost. One of the most horrible things I think that came out of this trial was just the awful internet abuse that she had.
Next, it's Beyonce's Renaissance, garlanded by some critics as her best ever creation. Vicky, the album was conceived and recorded during the pandemic. How would you describe its creative concept?
I feel like she's always been quite experimental. You know, Lemonade is basically like a visual art album. And so I think this kind of continues that trend, to be honest. You know, she, like you say, she wrote and recorded Renaissance during the COVID pandemic. In a quote, she said that it allowed her a place to dream and find escape during a scary time for the world. It allowed me to feel free and adventurous, like to create a safe place. And I feel like the tone of the album kind of reflects that. It's very dance, I think. I don't think that's something Beyonce has done too much of. There's a lot of, DJ influences. I think there's a lot of like post-1970s like black dance music styles. I think like disco and house. I think she does like name check a lot of like black and queer pioneers of those genres. For instance, she samples Show Me Your Love, which is like Robin S.'s 1993 hit. So I think it is quite different in that sense.
Now, some cringiness. It's Maroon 5 star Adam Levine. The married 43-year-old dad sent a load of icky texts to influencer Sumner Stroh, who's 2 decades his junior and definitely not Mrs. Levine.
She posted a very strange TikTok that basically said that she was having an affair with a man married to a Victoria's Secret model, and she felt like she was very easily manipulated. And she then went on to share these incredible Instagram DM messages with Adam Levine, basically thirst messaging her these horrendous things. When I say horrendous, I don't mean like awful, I just mean awfully cringe. So that's just internet catnip, essentially.
Nearly there. And next, it's pandemic-era Health Secretary Matt Hancock in the I'm a Celeb jungle, trying for his own renaissance. So did it work?
he tried to redeem himself over the course of the show. You know, the public, I'm afraid, voted for him to do pretty much all of the grim and disgusting bush tucker trials they could think of. You know, he ate, I believe it was, you know, like a sheep vagina, and had to crawl through a tiny doll's house filled with all manner of nasty insects. And he was good. Like, I think people grudgingly respected how willing he was to do it. And he apologized, I think, on the show. He said, he was really sorry for the upset he caused, I think, or maybe not so many words, you know. So I think he maybe saw this as his big redemptive moment. I think time might tell how successful it actually was in making him any more than a figure of fun, but we'll see.
Do you think the show's got much more life left in it?
I can't think it's got many years left. Like, the format has been tired for a long time. It's, you know, it's been going for more than a decade at this point. The reason so many people watched it this time round was simply because of Matt Hancock. So that was a kind of flare of interest. But the show itself isn't anything special. Maybe I'll give it 4 or 5 years, but it's just become one of those like interminable things that are always on, and people watch it maybe because they're used to watching it. But it's not good television, you know. It's at least in my opinion, that is. So unless they keep finding these like sensationalist celebrities, maybe Boris Johnson will go on next year or something, and people would watch that.
And the final spot on our list of the pop culture moments of 2022 goes to Wordle, the online word game that took on a life of its own. Vicky, remind us of its moment in the sun and the controversy.
There was a period when I'd be going into the office and all people could talk about was what their score was on Wordle. And then when the New York Times bought it, I think there was quite a bit of backlash, because people were saying, the New York Times is a subscriber newspaper, so would people have to pay to play Wordle, which they assured people that they would not have to. But then since then, it's become controversial for a different reason. People have been saying, it's too elite, like the questions have become too difficult, the words have become too obscure. Sorry, I think the British Wordle fans took umbrage with the fact that one of the words of the day was humour, but spelt the American way with HUMOR. Whilst Americans took umbrage with the fact that one of the words of the day was bloke, which Brits know, of course. Americans are like, what is bloke?
What made Wordle such a hit?
Sudoku is popular for the same reason, I think. It's like a nice little brain workout that you don't have to think too hard about. There's like a little mild competitive element. People can post their scores online. And, you know, when everyone does that, it feels like there's a bit of a community there. You know, everyone's joining in and doing this like nice thing that is a bit of a distraction. It's just a nice way to while away the time and have water cooler conversation.
There's more news and features in the Evening Standard newspaper and online at standard.co.uk. That's The Leader. An early Happy New Year to you, and we're back on Tuesday at 4 p.m.